Petru kindly joined us. He joined us in Bahrain 2017. We also had our conference in Geneva 2018-19. He also joined us in addition to many other engagement with universities, academia. So Petru, the floor is yours. Petru is going to present to us the findings or the results or the report which he authored on behalf of the UN, which is being launched, I think, a month ago. So I will give Petru the opportunity now. Let me unmute you, Petru. So Dr. Petru Dumitriu, it's an honor. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. Go ahead, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Allam, colleagues. Thank you very much for the interest in our topic and presentation. I think your introduction covered everything that is important about our collaboration since 2016. I hope that the next collaboration will be a face-to-face meeting wherever in this world. I long for those traditional face-to-face meetings, but of course, for the time being, we have to deal with what is available. Thank you also for the introduction of the Joint Inspection Unit. Yes, I could speak for hours about our unit. It's not the case. I should address the topic, but I will invite you to see this unique profile of Joint Inspection Unit in the sense that we have a system-wide competence, and that is very important. We produce very, very balanced reports on all possible issues. We consider ourselves as being a discrete, low colors, but important vehicle for reforming the United Nations system. Now, coming to the topic of this conference, e-learning was just one section of our report on learning in general in the United Nations system. The report was not prepared and conceived in time of the pandemics, but it just happened, as Allam said, it just happened that suddenly the chapter on e-learning became more important because we've been exposed more than in the past to the emerging technologies available. Also, I hope you'll be curious enough to see the report, so I'll not present the report as such. I'll try to present some overall conclusions that have somehow a relevance for you as an academic and practitioner network, in the sense that United Nations system organizations, and GIU is dealing with 28 organizations, is also kind of network. We want to be a system. We are not yet 100% a system, but I think some of the lessons and of the arguments on e-learning that I found during my review may also address the needs and the aspiration of World Association for Sustainable Development as a network. And one more precision before I start. I have 10 short points to make, is that our report and my consideration on e-learning do not concern the education in general. I'm not talking about primary school. I'm not talking about high school. I'm not talking about university education. I'm talking about lifelong continuous learning, about post-graduation learning. I'm talking about learning for people who are working. That's the essence of our work, of our report, and that is the essence of the points I'll be doing. The first point, I would define the main points as factors that multiply the importance of e-learning comparative advantages. The first of them is the global presence of the United Nations. So e-learning can offer us this possibility to have interaction on learning everywhere in the world. It's something that was not possible when we had only to use face-to-face courses, which was an expensive process. People have to travel. People have to sacrifice their time to go there. So that is factor number one. Factor number 2 is the aspiration of the United Nations system to work indeed as a system. So e-learning, it's not the only area that offer that kind of possibility, but e-learning is among those areas that really can serve our aspiration to be always connected, to be always in a position to cross-fertilize our work and our mandate. So that is again an important factor. The third factor is something that is somehow very characteristic to the United Nations system. We still have this practice of working in silos, and that is determined by the system, by the different let's say, constitutions. We have different governing bodies in our organizations. We have different mandates. We compete for the same resources. So sometimes, I would say too often, we work in silos. We follow our project line, our project aspiration, and we really do not look at each other. E-learning is one of the factors that can bring us together. We have then the fourth factor, the importance. I mean, I didn't put these factors in a specific order, but maybe the most important factor is the holistic vocation of Agenda 2030. I cannot preach to you as a member of the World Association for Sustainable Development to what extent Agenda 2030 is having this holistic, participatory, inclusive vocation. That is something where, again, the e-learning options are helping for us to serve that vocation. Number 5, as it is the case for this particular conference, the technologies offer us a possibility to rebuild, to review the partnerships among United Nations organizations, governments, academia, private sector. So these are different factors. Creating partnership, building partnership was always an aspiration for us, but it's better facilitated than ever at this point in time. And e-learning can also serve that in the sense that we will hear from each other, we'll learn from each other more than in the past. Number 6 factor is the resource constraints. I don't know about other areas, but in the United Nations, of course, participating in the face-to-face training courses is quite expensive. People sometimes have to travel. They have to be paid per diem. There are fees to be paid. So participating in face-to-face courses is quite expensive. While there is no intention and no need to replace the face-to-face training events, e-learning helps us in facing this problem of resource constraints. Number 7 is the facilitation of joint knowledge production. So if we interact in e-learning among more than a few actors, if we interact at the global scale, if we include more partners, we are in a position to produce together, or to create the premises to produce together joint knowledge. And joint knowledge is something that is very important. It's something that we all own. So we will be more inclined to use that knowledge and more prepared to put that knowledge into practice. Another factor that is quite important, I'm not talking about the traditional university landscape, but for international public servants like those in the United Nations, I found that the personal motivation is very important, and it is more important than ever in the context of the e-learning processes. Why? Because apparently, until the technologies will develop, until we find new ways, plagiarism, cheating, and other ways, to illicitly or immorally get your certificates or diplomas is more it's more possible online than it is in the classroom under the physical supervision of someone, etc. However, I think this is not a problem without a solution, but I see that the common denominator, the key, the silver bullet is the personal motivation. If you really, as a working person, you are interested to acquire new skills, if you are interested to learn more than you have acquired at the end of your formal studies, then this problem won't be a problem. The real key is the personal motivation. And one of the targets of my report was indeed to rebalance the relationship, the responsibilities on learning between the three main drivers: the organizations, the learning managers, and the individual staff. Because so far this relationship was a little bit unbalanced, in the sense that the public servants, many of them, they believe that it's up to the organization to give them the best condition, to give them time, to give them resources, etc. Or I would say that if you are really motivated, you can do that on your own. Personally, in the framework of the preparation of this report, I took, now I think I have more than 30 courses on online platforms offered by various providers. And it only cost me up to $200 to get a wide range of new knowledge in areas that are specifically related to my professional interests, but also in other areas. Number 10. So in the United Nations, we have this dilemma whether we address our training courses to our staff only, or to our member states beneficiary, because after all, we are in the service of the member states and of the public goods. So this is something that is work in progress. Personally, I believe that there should be, in most cases, no separation between the kind of learning we offer to the member states and the kind of learning we have to offer to the United Nations staff. And that is because they should share the same vision about the world, and having the same knowledge that will have that aspiration. And of course, last, maybe it's more technical, it's more related to our United Nations specificity. We have to, and e-learning offered this possibility to the learning managers to practically monitor the learning effort. Let us suppose that I invest the money of the organization in some programs. I can arrange with a supplier with a learning solution supplier. I can arrange in a way that I could see to what extent my people, the people for whom I pay the tuition fees, they are active, they are performant, they are serious, they are disciplined, they really acquired. So this is acquired knowledge. So this is a very important options that is offered by the e-learning. So these were the 10 points. I would say that altogether, there is a wide variety of options across the world. And the programs that are offered are more and more interesting and interactive. Even in terms of the MOOC, the massive online open courses, where you don't really have an interaction with the tutor or with the mentor, even there things are advancing, and I think that the technology provides solutions to solve this problem. And I would say one of the major problems that it needs still working is the quality of the verification of the knowledge acquired by the staff. I will stop here also by alluding to my report in the section on e-learning. I mentioned the opportunity about which I learned from a conference organized by West in London, and that is the fact that you have technology providers on whose platforms you can develop your own courses. So this is if we have that possibility in an open source way, then sky is the limit for whatever we can produce and offer to our staff. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't exceed the time allocated to me. Thank you. Thank you. Over to you.
Petru, thank you very, very much. You haven't exceeded your time. Actually, we were prepared to listen to more from you. Very interesting, very exciting, and I think that's a very nice opener. We will continue the session, but I would like to ask you at this point one question, which I asked you before, but it's better to ask you this question again. Now, you do all this fantastic work, and you are in the heart of the United Nations system. Now, how do people like us in academia, for example, in this conference, there's lots of vice chancellors listening to you now, head of department, academia from all over the world. Apart from them, now we are alerted and we have been circulating it. Apart from it's available in your website, and apart from people like us circulating it, how this message is getting across to all over the world, if you like, universities, government, how do they learn about this? Do you have any effort, or what is the UN is doing to ensure this fantastic work is actually reaching the normal user on the ground, apart from the UN agencies?
Thank you, Allam. That's a very good question and a tough question, and I couldn't give you a very positive answers. To be honest, the way we saw the life and destiny of the GIU reports was very much domestic, internally oriented. So we put in place a pretty sophisticated system by which we follow the implementations of the recommendations. Partly that information is also available on our website, in the sense that there is a system where the organizations, they are in detail, in the years following the circulation of the reports, they report on how they do that work. But that indeed does not offer a very wide possibilities to the rest of the world to be aware. And obviously, as it was your case when we met the first time in April 2017 in Geneva, you didn't know anything about GIU. It was the knowledge management network that put us together. So I think again the technologies are offering us the possibilities to make our message known across the world. In GIU, we are faced, practically. I don't know how to put it without abandoning my traditional inclination to modesty, but it was the first time when I met you in Geneva on the conference on knowledge management. It was the first time ever in the history of GIU when we had, we opened the doors to the participation from the public. And if you remember, we had more participants from the academia than from other sectors. And in our own conference on the private sector, remember, we had more than 300 participants, and we really touch on segments of the public audience that usually are not touched. So it is difficult with this proliferation of websites. We cannot realistically expect that people will come to see our reports. The only way is to do what we do in our case, and I have other partners identified. For instance, this report will also be shared with the Graduate Institute in Geneva and their network. We talked about it in the forum about diplomatic training. So there are options. On the partnership with the private sector, we went to the International Organization of Employers to present our report. On the policy research, you remember that We cooperated with some networks of academics, and if we touch to those people, and if we manage to raise their interest, and then they will see value in our report. One more point on that, because our reports on learning, on knowledge management, and on policy research, they were called by someone as the GIU knowledge trilogy. I would say that there is already an impact on that, in the sense that for the first time in the history of the United Nations, the Routledge Handbook of the United Nations will have a special chapter dedicated to knowledge management. So that touches very much the sensitive issue that was the object of your question. To me, if there is one common denominator to everything that means interaction and cross-fertilization, is knowledge management. We should find the best ways to share our knowledge and to help the people to identify what is important and what is relevant in the big magma of knowledge that exists on the internet. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Petru, and that's a very interesting start, as I said.
So please remember, if we all help and do a little bit, it will make a big difference.